Hello, everybody. Uh, let's get ready to roll. Hope you enjoy my topic. Gonna start it from the past. Some of the crazy women that I've looked into long before I actually got chatting, you know, on the different channels, back in what? Let's see. Oh, was it December 2022, I believe, is when Idaho 4 came about, is when I actually got set up for this. Anyways, let's get this started. Let's see. All right. I'm going to do this real quick also. Uh, this I'm putting up for the content, some of the links that I'm going to have, and we'll be dropping into the chat for everybody. Copyright disclaimer under section 1. Oh, geez. Let me loop it here briefly. All right. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Oh, I've done quite a bit of research on this old lady that I'm going to start it off with. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips. The balance in the favor of fair use. All right, now let me share this. Oh no, don't be a stick in the mud, you silly thing. Oh, why is being a stick in the mud? Not now, please. Go figure. Now my browser wants to get stupid. Hold on, everybody. It's being a StreamYard's being funny. If you can still hear me, me drop out. If they'll let me, that is. All right. Is this thing gonna be nice to me now? I don't know. Hello, KCG. All right. I was trying to pull up. Let's see. Oh, this here is my own blog. Let me get this up here. Let's switch views here. Now, this is my own blog that I started long before I got into YouTube chatting and such. Hello, Chopper. Fancy was my name. KCG, thank you for coming. And yes, Chopper, I will be looking into some of those other people that you mentioned. I've got a long list. Believe me, I got a bookmark of all the women that have either murdered their own children, you know, be them their own birth children or, you know, grandkids, things like that. Nannie Doss, who was originally born uh, Nancy, and she's known by the Jolly Widow, the Giggling Nanny, and she's got many names according to the and I love that. Yeah, that's the first thing I said, KCG, when I first seen her name, Fancy's name. Yeah, yes, Andrea Yates. That's another one I'm just gonna briefly go over. Uh, Corey Richards. Now, Corey Richards, she went after her husband. She didn't kill her kids, you know. And yes, she did write a book. Um, you know, that she's just north of me, about an hour away. Chopper at Corey Richards. She came down into the valley here and bought drugs. To go, yeah. Well, I wouldn't doubt it. Probably pretty bad at this point. You know, yes. I need to get back with them. I used to do reviews. I used to do reviews on people's books. I haven't done it in a while, but yeah. Anyways, the Jolly Widow. My goodness, this lady. All right. She was born Nancy Hazel. Let me see if I can enlarge this a bit. Can y'all see it okay? Yeah, yeah. She poisoned them with fentanyl. And her lawyer just recently, in the last couple of months, uh, recused herself from it. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, she ain't no damn writer. I mean, and to go and put her own kids' real names in there. Uh, I feel sorry for those kids. Okay. Yeah. Anyways, there. Oh, KCG. By the way, there's no pictures on this. It's my blog. I don't put family pictures or things like that on my blog for a lot of reasons. You know, uh, if people want to go and look, they can. You know, uh, want they want to get deeper into like the giggling nanny, for instance. They know how to go and research. Oh, oh, right. In case, yeah, I understand. I know it's hard for you to see, so I will read it to you so it's okay. Anyways, her name is Nancy. Was born Nancy Hazel, November 4th, 1904. Now, her mother, she her mother had her out of wedlock. That I do know. That is what I read. She was born in Blue Mountain, Benton County, Alabama. The giggling nanny, they called her the Black Widow, and Lady Bluebird. She poisoned not just her own kids, but even murdered some of her grandkids, and murdered 4 of her 5 husbands. That's how sick that's how sick. Exactly. Exactly. Um, that's, I always try to, even if someone presents something, I try and go look for it or find fact on it. Uh, with Sebastian's case, you just kind of got to go by the good things mentioned. Example, Sebastian's story. You know, right. I don't consider myself true crime, but I try to go in that realm, but that of the past. Anyway, before I get too sidetracked, all right, I won't be able to see well because I'll be on this other page. Anyways, her life in this world did not start out well. Born to an abusive father, a doting mother, and she had 3 other siblings. In a farm that was very demanding. Back then, they didn't, back that early times, they didn't have equipment like they do today, or even back when I was a kid. You know, I used to go help my grandpa all the time with his uh, on during the summer. I mean, just lived at the time. He just lived up the canyon. I was probably, let's see, 10, 11. Let's see, 9, but between 9 and 11. Because that's when the family. I was about 9 when we moved to Idaho. My grandpa lived just up the canyon, and had a little farm. Anyways, so I get that, and even when my ancestors, just an example, a lot of the kids, if they were able from 10 on up, would for like trade, you know, hey, mom's got some flour, she'd like to trade for some grain or maybe some milk. They work together. Nowadays, and I think it was kind of part of the bartering. Back then, it's not like what sort I'm trying to think of, not like kings and queens of today. In that or back then, where everything went to the king. Whatever was made, things like that. All right. Anyways, age 7 or 9. I haven't found an exact date of when she hit her head. They were on a train with the family and probably was not sitting up properly on those benches, even the old trains, the tourist trains, where they have, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Well, they have restored some trains to workable, and they take you on, train trips. Back then, even today, a lot of them don't have seatbelts like, we think of today, on some trains. Anyways, it stopped abruptly. Now, uh, or slowed abruptly. And she hit her head on the seat. I'm guessing she probably turned around in her seat, or maybe it was standing, talking to mom or one of her siblings, and hit her head on the seat in front of her. That's the only thing I can picture, because I've been on some of those old trains. This Durango Silverton Railroad train, for instance. Since then, she suffered horrible headaches, blackouts, and of course depression. Um, is this the reason why she did what she did later on in life? Who knows? I mean, there wasn't much treatment for things like that. Back then, they probably would have even as a child, put her in a mental, health institution because of those. Hello, Lala. Yeah. And seeing and they were all lap belts back then too, Chopper. Because I remember my mom and dad's, what was it? They had an old Opal, and it was all lap, the old style lap buckles. They weren't over the shoulder, nothing like that. All right. At age 16, she met her first husband while working at the linen company near her home. In that linen company, back then, there was a lot of cotton fields. In Alabama, most of these southern states were big time cotton producers. And what better place to take that cotton and make it into, the dresses back then. Even more so, the sheets on the bed, things like that. So, for her, probably at 16, that probably was a good job. Her first husband was Charles Moore Bragg, with approval from mom and dad. Only the reason why dad did that. Now, this is the only dad that she's ever known. Okay. Um, her mom was very pregnant at the time. Now, whether this is the same father, literally, or not, that I have yet to find any documents to prove one way or the other. They had 4 children after they married. Now, October 1954, Nannie confessed to poison. Well, let me back up here. All right, she had 4 children. I got one other bookmark on her. Let me bring it up here. I thought I had her listed as to when her kids were born. Shoot. What did I do with them? I thought I had it a little bit better. Anyways, I guess not. All right, never mind on that thought. Anyways, all right. Now, her first husband, October 1954, she admitted to poisoning her own husband after the autopsy report came in. His name was Samuel Doss. Story claims that she did it for the life insurance she took out on each. November 27, 1954, was finally arrested of the murder of at least one husband and possibly more victims. December 7th, 1954, 3 exhumations were done. Her second husband, Robert Franklin Harrelson, her own sister she killed, Dovey Frances Hazel Weaver. This is after her sister became ill due to a pregnancy. She married Dovey's baby and then turned around and murdered her. Her sister's son, which is Nannie Doss's nephew, Robert Lee Higgins, that one was exhumed because they believed that it was due to poisoning. All right, now, old Charles Bragg up here, he ran. He got lucky. He grabbed, I believe it was the oldest, which is Malvina. of her 4 children, and he ran and saved her. I mean, I'm guessing he probably thought that that was his only child and the other ones were from other men. I could not find 100% fact on that. Well, Miss Brittany, thank you for coming in, everybody. Don't forget to smash the like. Now, according to autopsy reports coming in from North Carolina and Alabama, now this is where Nannie Doss, she lived in Alabama. She lived in North Carolina, and then she worked her way via kind of like a what we would call like Craigslist today, I believe. But through newspapers, she put ads for a husband. Unfortunately, those husbands, that actually became husbands, didn't make it. They died. Now, the autopsy reports coming from North Carolina, and Alabama were Zelma and Gertrude Braggs. Now, this is her 2 kids from the first marriage. Out of the 4 kids, okay, the Melvina was the oldest. You got Zelma and Gertrude, who were the middle children, and then there's one other one, and then there was Zelma and Gertrude, who died in 1927 by poisoning by their own mother. They were kids. She was 20 years old. Was it because of her head injury from when she was a kid, or because of the abuse from a drunk, mean father? I mean, that's the stories it tells. Nobody really knows. I know back then, just from talking with my dad, because he was kind of raised, even though he was born in 1940s, the farming that it was all business. Kids were to be seen, not heard. Kids helped on the ranch, or on the farm, whatever the case may be, or around the house, to be seen, not heard. Now, Eliza Emily Holder Hazel, she married she came and visited with her daughter. Okay. This is Hazel's mother. Okay, Louisa Emily Hazel. That is her mother. Okay, she come to visit, and Nannie killed her too. Her 3rd husband's mother, Sarah Elizabeth Leonard Lanning, also poisoned. The husbands at Charles Braggs is the only one that escaped out of all of them. Robert Franklin Harrelson from out of Alabama, who was born in 1906 and passed away in 1945. Arlie Jackson Lanning, he's from North Carolina. He was born in 1900 and died in 1952 by poisoning. Now, her last 2, which really brought attention, Oklahoma law really started questioning what the heck was going on. Richard Lewis Morton, 1889, and died in 1953 under very suspicious circumstances. Samuel Luther Doss, also from Oklahoma, 1895. Now, this is just some of and then some baby girl, Malvina's daughter, brand new baby, and Nannie took one of those old style hairpins that you wore in, back then they wore in their hats, stuck it in the baby's head, and killed the baby right there. Marie Haley, I'll have to look into that one. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Marie Haley. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now back to, won't be able to see the screen or chat for a bit. She killed that baby while they're in the hospital. She's seen her mother with that hairpin in her head. But this is all you couldn't have, you're just out of it because of the painkillers we got you on. No, she knew. She knew. Addie, who also went by Sula, okay, was her other sister, another one that she killed while she was, yeah. And this baby girl was Addie's baby girl, right? Malvina, Addie. Yes, Malvina and Addie. That I forgot. It's been a while since I'd done a blog on this or updated it, so please forgive me. She was born December 26, 1910, and unfortunately on August 14th, 1953, she was poisoned. Tulsa police still to this day, even today, don't know how many, but definitely in 1954, they did not know the full count of how many she is poisoned within her own family. Now, I got a couple of pictures here. Let me bring up, let's see. Let me drop that briefly. Again, I had this all planned, and what did I do? All right. All right, open sesame, dang it. Let's open that one. There's several articles about this woman. I mean, it's nuts. Why? I mean, and she didn't really say why. She never really truly said why she did what she did to those family members, except for the first, or the second, the last husband was for insurance. Okay. That's the only one that she's admitted to. And just, let me open this one also. Present. All right. Now this, according to the newspapers, is one of the first pictures put out in the Tulsa newspapers. Let's do this. Let me see if I can enlarge it a little bit more. Come on. There we go. Bring that down. Now, this here is, hey, hi Heather Dawn. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You're right. And I don't get it. Why not just say why? Yeah, Chopper. She was finally caught because of the death of Samuel Doss. I'm guessing there was a lot more people that loved him compared to the rest. Yeah, that too. They cracked me up on their looks there. All right, now let me slide this up. Yep, no. Now this picture was taken November 28th by one of the Tulsa, Oklahoma newspapers. Accused grandmother meets public. Mrs. Nannie Doss, 49-year-old, 5-time married, meets the public through a KTVX television station on filmed interview with the officers. Mrs. Doss talked with Police Commissioner John Henderson. That is him on the left. All right. The gentleman behind her is Captain Harry Steege, I believe is the way it's pronounced. And the county attorney, John Howard Edmonton, who holds Mrs. Doss's signed statement in which she admitted poisoning 2 husbands. Investigations are still underway to find the cause of death of 6 other persons closely associated with the cheerful Tulsa widow. See why, anyways. But yeah, this is just one of many. Here's where she's coming out of the courthouse. Let's see. Let me I thought I would switch on those kind of images, but I guess not. Go figure. Now this picture here, they're going to be bringing up is her coming out of court after being this picture here is them. Yes. I think I know which one you're talking about, Chopper, because, and I'll have to look into it. She does. She was considered the jolly widow, the giggling nanny. She was. I think a lot of it was a facade, as to what she really, people didn't look at her as being such a, oh wow, that's sad. I don't think she thought she did anything wrong. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure is she didn't think she did anything wrong. Now, I'm believing that this couple here is family and not wanting to be around her because of. Now, let me see. Behind that one. There was one other one I was going to show you. Now this here, let me bring up the next one. I got one more. I've got a few, and I thought I had. The only thing I can figure that what I did is when I went into Ancestry.com, I took it off my, you might say, docket for information, for her genealogy itself. So this picture here, this was October 29th is when she was officially booked, and this is her mugshot. Now, let's see, 49-year-old grandmother signed statement that she caused the deaths of 4 of her 5 husbands. She finally confessed to all the husbands except for the one that escaped. Each in a different state, by putting liquid rat poison in their food and drink. She was to be charged today with murder in the death of husband number 5, Nannie Doss. He was 58 years old from Tennessee. Now, let me bring up the other. Oh, damn, that didn't want. Let me bring up my blog again here. I'm gonna finish off. You're right. It would be. Yeah, she was smiling. KCG, she was smiling. They call her the Black Widow, the Jolly Widow, the giggling nanny, right. And back then versus, the cleaning supplies we have now, you can buy in a store like, Lysol for your counters, kind, or even hand sanitizer. Back then, that would have been considered poison. And rat poison, according to stories that I found on this crazy dang woman, is she put them in their pies. She put on the husband. She put them in their coffees. And some of them, what she do is she would just gradually. There's one guy in Colorado. He murdered his own wife. He was a damn dentist. Okay. Mr. Yeah. James Tolliver Craig. He's another one I'm going to be looking into because that's been recent, and he has, I believe, 8 kids. And if it wasn't for one of his co-workers, or I should say one of his employees at the dentist's office who happened to see what was in the box, he alerted, there's going to be a private package coming in, delivered. Don't open it up, just put it in my room. Put it in my office. It had a hazmat symbol on most things that went to that James Tolliver Craig's office were dentist related. What in the world would that kind of hazmat, arsenic? He killed his own wife for, in my opinion, a piece of ass. Chris Watts killed his wife and kids for a piece of ass. Why? And yes, I will be going over the Watts case because I was in Denver when Chris Watts did what he did to his family. Yeah. Sick fuckers. Excuse my French, but sick. The whole city of Denver was livid. And when Nancy Grace come to hell in town, she stood on a bunch of lies she put out and stood 10 toes down on it and doubled down, and she lied, and she got run the fuck out of Denver. They don't want her in Denver again. I remember the news reports there in Denver. I remember the local news on TV. They didn't want Nancy Grace anywhere near any cases in the state of Colorado after what she did with that case and her involvement with the John Bonet case. Yeah. Right. I don't know what caused Nannie Doss, Nancy Doss, to do what she did. Right. Exactly, Lola. I don't get it either. I mean, if you're that damn desperate, but all they wanted was money. I mean, I guess you might say their husbands were clickbait. They were just that money bags. Money, that's all they wanted. And she put insurance things on every one of her kids and grandkids and everything. And back then, it was probably maybe 50 cents or $1 to get life insurance on any one of those. I didn't delve that deep because that's a very deep hole. And especially where insurance rate and life insurance rates and things like that are a lot higher now, to get life insurance. Right. Exactly. The only way for them to get that money is hope that, they didn't get caught with the poisons. They didn't have science back then to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that to put out there, like the jug used or whatever, thank God for science. If it wasn't for science, I'm gonna be all honest, they wouldn't have caught my cancer because my breast cancer was just a small, bump originally. If it wasn't for science and the scientific machines like the MRI, the CAT scans, things like that. Yeah. Yeah. That is very true. Women were not, unless it was passed down or they found some way to convince, get it put in the will that it is handed down to them legally. Yeah. It is in a lot of ways, Chopper. To me, it's a financial catch-22 because only a few minutes in the machine, it really don't cost them that much, but it costs us a lot to have to go through those. Or your insurance company, or Medicaid, if you're on Medicaid, knock on wood. If it wasn't for that, all the procedures and the 3 surgeries I had to have, well, 2 of them I had to have. One of them I wish I never would have had, the last one. But and it's just like, women's rights. It didn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what nationality you come from or what culture believing. Women still really do struggle today. It's getting better where we're more accepted in the work environment versus, man, hell, when I got in the trucking business and pulling steel, oh yeah, wouldn't it be? It'd be nice, but see, the only bad thing, the only thing is the minimum wage or even wage in general chopper they would probably switch that back, and then we'd all be on the damn streets instead of in our homes. And if the homes were totally 1000% paid for, that's the only bad part. You know, anyways, all right. Now, it was the newspaper in the newspaper columns. It was called The Lonely Heart. There was a column in some of the newspapers. She found 4 of her husbands through that. You know, she passed away of leukemia while in the hospital ward of the prison on June 2nd, 1965. Ironic that she died of blood poisoning. But, hers was a Mona Lisa. You know, that kind of poisoning, leukemia is a cancer. I wouldn't wish that kind of cancer on anybody. If I'm not mistaken, Mama Judd from the Judds, she had leukemia. And she had a rough time. I wouldn't wish that. It had to have been rough. And for her, for the giggling nanny to pass away from it, at this point, in this time period, and I don't care if she rolls over in her grave or not, but I call that freaking karma. So, total Annie Mae Hazel, she died in 1960. No one was it said she died. Yeah. Annie Mae Hazel, which was her sibling, died of poisoning. W. Frances Hazel, poisoned. Addie Sula Hazel, poisoned. And her own grandson, William Roscoe Hazel, is her brother. March 7th, 1915, and died October 12th, 1960. Now, the children of Charles and Nancy Briggs, this is the first children. My goodness. She killed both of them. Gertrude, she passed away one day, a little less than a year, about 9 months later after she was born. Pretty much the same thing with Zelma. Florine, same. Malvina was the only one that lasted the longest, and that's because her dad took her out of the house and ran. Took her out of the house and ran. Now, we were talking about some old cases. What was the other one I was looking at? Let me find I was looking at one other. Come on. Don't be a stick in the mud. All right. Now, we're going to show this. They call it maternal filicide. It's this here. I'm going to go this way. Yeah. It's goodness gracious. We definitely cannot do the yeah. No. Stupid ads. All right. Now, It says maternal filicide is not something people usually want to discuss, and for good reason. You know, you got some Susan Smith killing her kids. Uh, God, there's so many. This list in such a deep and unfortunate for the children, because they, you know, one of my future, it's gonna get a little sidetracked, I guess. Um, but dating even before Nannie Doss, Eliza Borden. Now I'm not talking about Lizzie Borden, but her. It would be Liza would be. She was only she was Eliza Darling to begin with, and she married Lizzie's great uncle. Okay, now this woman previous, and in fact, it was the house next door to where Lizzie is accused of killing her parents. I don't believe she did, but her cousin, it would be it'd be like a great cousin, or or great aunt via marriage. She took all three of her kids, except for the youngest baby, Maria, down to the basement into the cistern back then, and the house was next door. They still to this day think the Fall River, Massachusetts is cursed. Still to this day. And they especially believed it back then. But this just a little, as to maternal filicide. Nobody knows why she did it. And then she turned around and committed suicide after a few days. And that house is the one that was and still is, I believe, still next door to the original Borden home where those murders took place. She took her three kids and she drowned them in the cistern. Now, some people may not know what a cistern is. That is like the water, like a water well in a basement. Instead of have to go outside to get your water, from the creek or whatever, uh, they built those in the basements. Yeah, that's what I'm working on the side. Yeah, but some reason or another, I was thinking that great aunt, it happened like just days before, and I was wrong. I stand corrected on that, and I forget who it was. Thought it was before or after. Well, after, but yeah, it was. It was actually quite a few years before. Lizzie, I think, was maybe 4 years old when that took place. You know, and the mother committed suicide, and her husband, Ludwig Borden, was cousin. Yeah, was cousin to Lizzie Borden's dad, and blood wise. So, but yeah, I admit I thought it was in the same time period, but it wasn't. But the house that it was done in was definitely right next door to where, and that is where her parents lived before Emma was even born. So they were living there next door to Eliza when she murdered all three of her kids, murdered three of her kids in the cistern. And then later, and I still don't know what killed her mom. And she wasn't well, from what I read. Yes, I will be. I'm working on that now. I'm trying to get into as to Lizzie Borden. I want to cover it from a genealogical, I guess you might say, a family history uh, point of view. No, there was no mention at all of tuberculosis. And there was one death certificate I did come across, but it was not tuberculosis even back then. Tuberculosis really didn't happen till a little later and maybe sooner. Good. I hope so. Because I do like covering those kind of things. All right, now, here we go. Now, just, we hear of it so much more now, and I think it's only because what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's more in our face with the different platforms. We see it on the news, and most of us who don't watch the literal news, the little local or national news on TV, we see it on Twitter, we see it on YouTube, no matter where you go, unfortunately. And we see it more and more, and it's heartbreaking. Now, there's different forms. Now, I put this part here in my description, and I'm going to add a little link. Now, also, let me add this. This here is a link to my blog that covers Nannie Doss, in her whole story. I've got more coming, months in the months among us thing. If you look to the side, I'm still working on some that the Forgotten in America series, which is covering, unfortunately, our night walker, our night ladies. I started all this. What? Well, March. This would have been. This would have been about the time that Murdaugh case came about. And then I just slowly but surely, on my blog. Here's my link for that. There was one other one I was going to show. Okay. Let me drop this. This is from the Crime Wire, which has a lot of good information about a lot of different kinds of crimes. And this that I'm showing you now is from what I'm going to be covering, going over here in a bit, if you're interested. But it gives you an idea. Also, in my link, or in my description, I have added the prevention. Oh, I thought I did. Yeah, I did. The substance abuse and mental health services. If you need help, reach out. Somebody. Now, I don't know all the rest of the different crisis lines from around the world, I know I seen it somewhere, but I forget exactly, what is the crisis line for, like, let's say Australia, a direct line for anybody in Australia or that area, you know, where they could call, not just USA. I would like to add that in the near future. I know I seen it somewhere, but I forget where to be sure. Um. Anyways, there's different 5 major motives for mothers who murdered their children. They broke it down to 5. Altruistic filicide occurs when a mother believes death is in the child's best interest. Now, my thought is, what makes a mother think it's in the child's best interest? They're born defective, and it's documented. Uh, defective in wrong word. Correction. Strike that, please. But maybe in their brain they look at it as defective. Okay. But we as a society don't see it as that. In my opinion, if they thought they were going to be in have problems even back then, granted, when I was born, just I'm gonna kind of sidebar here. At least for me, anyways. When I was born in '64, a lot of doctors didn't know a lot about my birth defect and the fact that I had the cord wrapped around my throat twice. Just a little tip, which caused what they called a mild case of cerebral palsy. They tried to get my parents to, back then, nurses and that encouraged mothers to give their child up to the care, because in nurses' times back then, it wasn't normal. I wasn't normal. And you look at all the mental hospitals back then and halfway houses back then. My mom and dad basically told the nurses, screw you. They tried to force my parents into put me on Ritalin. My parents says, nope, find something else. Hey, Teresa, thank you for coming. So I can kind of relate to those kind of things only in the aspect of, what would make a mother think that their child would be best off. Something in their brain is the only thing I can think of. Postpartum depression. I mean, why else would a mother think of something like that? Why? Why would any mother or even father for that matter think this way? I don't get it. The other, number 2, according to the Mental Health Institute, acutely psychotic filicide includes a delusional mother who may be experiencing command hallucinations and may not appear to have any motive. Now, is something in her brain telling her you must do this? Or is she on drugs and the drugs are telling her that? We don't know, because they haven't narrowed it down to it's drug related or alcohol related. They don't go there. So who maybe that's why they're like when Letitia stopped. She didn't give a reason why she did what she did to get him. We know she flipped. Whatever happened, she flipped, freaked out, flipped. Whatever. Yeah. I would say acutely psychotic filicide maybe. I don't know. And she was just a stepmom, not the natural mother. Fatal maltreatment filicide occurs as a result of accumulative child abuse, neglect, or Munchausen syndrome by proxy, which is like Gypsy Rose. Now, she didn't try to kill her daughter, at least not the way we think of, but she did abuse her daughter throughout the years. Unfortunately. And unfortunately, I mean, what happened prior to her own mom's death, nobody really knows for sure. I don't understand why the medical field, even back then, Gypsy Rose is not that damn old. So why didn't the doctors who were performing allegedly all these, procedures, test, blood, whatever, why didn't they see red flags in the way the mom was treating the child and DC, CPS, DCF pull her out of there. She was the only child. So, I mean, it wasn't like, I didn't want to dive into that Gypsy Rose because, in my opinion, she took advantage of a young man who struggled himself and still struggles today, and has struggled since he was born, to do her bidding. She convinced him in so many bad ways to do what, and again threw him under the bus and acted like, oh, I didn't talk him into it. Bull is my opinion. Total royal bullshit, and in my opinion, she should have stayed the hell locked up. Hey, wise angel. Oh, whoa. I don't know that. Yeah, wow. That's a good question, wise angel. Let's see. Let me put that down. Are they out of Alabama? Do you know? Wise angel. Phone's YouTube page. Okay. That might be another deep rabbit hole to try to go there. It might be only, well, Doss wise, it might be only via marriage, so it's not like the bloodline of Nannie Doss. She only married. She would be probably only related by marriage, not by blood. Because as far as I found, there is no children between her and Samuel Doss, which is who it. Yeah. Now it probably some of the family that probably thought to have kids' remains checked. Man, if they're from Oklahoma, and he definitely was from Oklahoma, and there was definitely a, questionable looking into, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Doss Farms, maybe it's their family or, their grandparents who said, hey, uh, this shouldn't, there's something wrong here. Maybe that's who got them to police to actually look into Nannie, giggling Nannie Doss into his death. Because all the other ones, there isn't really anything stating, nobody really knows. You know, there's no, everything I found on Nannie Doss, and even genealogical wise, and I think it's because they just barely released the 1950s census. So anything prior to that or after the 1950 census, unless they still live there, probably not going to find it because they kind of put that cutoff point for privacy reasons, which is, in my opinion, awesome. They keep it secret. If a person is recently passed away, it's quiet. They don't advertise the same with Find a Grave. Same. Um, oh, that was the other thing I was gonna look at. Let me find it. All right, that one I've already looked at. It was one. Maybe it was in the Find a Grave. I thought I found her Find a Grave site. And I've got it somewhere. It's no big deal. She's on Nannie Doss. Nancy Doss is on so many. Yeah. It don't take a rocket scientist to find her name. But just some of the names. All right. Coming back to the unwanted child filicide is when the mother believes her kid is a hindrance. Now, Susan Smith, I think, is one of them. There was one other one, I think, in North Carolina or South Carolina, that she drowned her kids. Put them in the car. And it was a young mom, if I remember right. I know it was one of the eastern or southeastern states. I can't remember if it was two boys. I haven't looked into it because that was another deep one. And she did it in Hosa for some guy. And she thought the only way to have that relationship, because that person didn't want kids. I don't know if they didn't want kids or didn't want her kids. And she killed them. She drowned them in the car. I think there's been several moms that have put their kids in the car and put them in the creek or the river. I mean, oh, okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And there was some remark, I guess, on a Reddit saying, people wondering where she is today. If there was one person that played, if she ain't dead yet, she should be, kind of thing. Is like, what? That's kind of harsh, but it's not. You know, that's a hard one. It's sad for those boys. It's sad for those kids. The other is spouse revenge filicide. Now that is what Josh Powell did to his own kids. Okay. Now this here describes just the mother doing it. What that is describes a mother or father who kills as an act of revenge against the child's mother/father. This is the rarest of the 5. And I believe it. Yes. Yes. That is the one I'm thinking of. Because I remember with big freaking headlines, years ago. But I didn't really follow because at that time I wasn't really into, as they say, air quotes, into digging that deep into cases. I watched them on TV. I watched Investigative Discovery on TV. Loved it. I loved what they covered. Never thought I'd be actually here covering similar or the same cases, but in a different way, a different voice, you might say, not just national media putting it out there or some platform. Hello, Limey. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to smash the like. But it just, and to say University, Martha Smiley spent her years looking at all the different reasons that could cause the lead to infanticide. That boy, but there's she put almost every story of maternal infanticide starts with the baby wouldn't stop crying. Didn't we just hear that not too long ago on a case? The baby in the oven? Or was that no, that's the most recent one in Hendersonville. Excuse me, in Hendersonville, Tennessee, went drowned a baby in the creek nearby. She wouldn't stop crying. She wanted silence. All right. Yeah. Talk about. Oh my goodness. Wanted the baby to stop crying, and that mom just killed her daughter in Hendersonville, Tennessee, because she wanted some peace and quiet. And that case, the one I was just reading off was a lot, just that. Wow. Okay. But the story is more than just bad or mentally ill mothers who lethally assault their babies or children, period. Not just babies, but children. The story is about how hard it is to be a good mother in a society where women are expected to raise children in their spare time and with their spare change. Now that, yes, even when my two, it was all I could do, and I fought to get help. Myself, I fought to get help. Uh, Now, this is just a few, so trigger warning. No, they're not easy to stomach or to understand why they did. We can only keep, always remember those victims and try to do better by them. Now this lady here, Monta Marino, what a hot mess. I didn't even delve into it. I looked at just her alone. Just this little article on CrimeWire. 8 kids. Ugh. Curry poison. Now that's scary. Because curry, this seasoning is actually pretty good on meats. But I guess it depends on how you use it. I don't know. Let's add good flavoring, but unless I'm putting it on it out of the box, seasoning bottle from the grocery store that's been untampered, I ain't getting no curry. Not after that remark. Uh. Anyways, it's Montana by proxy. Now we know of Gypsy Rose, but it was the other way around. Gypsy Rose had mom killed for what happened. According to, oh goodness, and I got the hiccups. Between 1949 and 1968, she gave birth a total of 10 children during that time. All 10 died at birth or shortly thereafter, 8 of them at the hands of their mother. 2 of them they still, I believe, was, possible. It was mysterious the way they were talking about it. The autopsies, unfortunately, revealed no evidence of murder. During the cesarean delivery of her 10th, Marie suffered uterine rupture and had to undergo hysterectomy, like saving an untold number of babies from certain death. Yeah, she got fixed. No more kids for her. No more deaths. No more SIDS. Whatever. Uh, I think I put this in. I'll drop this again. This is the story. This has not just this Marino, but it also has others. Did I guess what's that? Yes. All right. I keep forgetting about my pink background there. Right. See if I can change my background while in mid. There, that might help a little bit better. So you can see it without the pink. Anyways, sudden infant death syndrome can be caused by a baby choking on milk. If you laid the baby on their back instead of their side when they were possibly laying down and drinking from a bottle in their crib, they could choke on it. And if you're not right there, it could cause SIDS. Okay. Or they baby gets a blockage in their throat. It could cause that, mucus buildup. And her own husband says, or Marie even said, we just weren't meant to be parents. The Lord needed the angels. Yeah. I don't know. This Freed, let me find his name again. I hate just going by their last name. Some of these blog wires need to. Anyways, I guess the guy that runs this crime wire interviewed him. But Marino was not a good person. 8 kids, and she pled guilty to all of them, all 8, on June 28th, and was sentenced to only 20 years probation. Are you fucking kidding me? It didn't matter if she couldn't bear children. It don't matter that she was 70 fucking years old. It's just like Laura and her damn CPS fucking call. It don't fucking matter how old or how long ago. She did it and she won't own it, and she targeted a child. This woman here targeted her children. It don't matter how fucking long ago. The fact that a child was targeted, period. End of sentence. No explanation, no buts, no ands, but nothing. And yeah, I'm gonna throw this in. Laura and Save Robbie, fuck off. The only two brains that was on your damn panel, Robbie, was the sweetheart Sally Ann and that Lonnie. Yeah. Um. Ugh. Probably one of the reasons why I don't cover kid cases. Ugh. Yeah, I had to throw that in. Sorry, y'all, for that outburst, but it doesn't. I see something. You know, it don't matter how long ago it was. It happened. And Mika Monster just recently found out. You might say confirmed. Well, I'm kind of talking about. My original thing was about Nancy Doss, the giggling nanny. Okay. Yeah, I believe I'm fixing to stroll up on Nanny. That probably is her, but yeah. uh, yeah, it says when someone thinks of mothers who murdered their children, Andrea Yates. Yeah. 5. Oh my God. Yeah. During a press conference, law enforcement officials struggled to maintain composure as they announced that Noah, 7 years old, John, who was 5, Paul, who was 3, Luke, who was 2, and a 5-month-old Mary had been drowned one by one in the family bathtub by their own mother. Wow. Although postpartum depression was recognized condition among medical personnel before 2001, the general public knew very little about it. As a matter of fact, most people considered it a mild condition that typically disappeared within a short time following a baby's birth. It can be. Your hormones are going out of whack. I mean, even with my 2 kids. But I never thought about killing my kids. God forbid. No. And Laura even think, oh, that was the other thing as a kids. Laura's remark, if I could get away with murdering my kids, then I would have. Fuck off, Laura. That shouldn't even been part of your mouth. Or any of that conversation. Whether you would have or not. Why did you even go there with that remark? Why? Or even Robbie saying, oh, 4 years ago, if I say 4 years ago I pushed someone down the stairs, and they died, why would you go there? Unless there is that underlying truth behind that remark. Did he? Yeah. Some people don't snap out of it. And just like, when you're grieving so bad after losing a loved one, or such a traumatic experience. Yeah. A traumatic experience of breast cancer, and you lose half your chest to it. We we don't know what our neighbors are going through. We try to, but like, oops, a little bug reminder saying everything was good. Or bug checker. Anyways, you know, it's like Savage said, as to a recent ER, and bless her, I hope she's feeling way better. She said she's had this off and on, and she puts it off. She don't want other people to know until it's to the point where she has to go, has to get it taken care of. We as women especially, and even men, I'm not denying it, men too. My dad is John Wayne syndrome. Sorry about this little sidebar, but yeah, John Wayne syndrome. Um, that's what they called it back then because John Wayne refused to go to any doctors. I'm okay. I'll worry about that when I'm dead, kind of remark. And that's the way he was. If his health was bad, he would blade it off instead of going in and having it checked. And he had the money to go and have it checked. It's just, you know, he didn't want anybody worrying about him. Same with us women. We don't want people to worry about what we're going through until we have to ask for help. Be it our own, us calling our own medical, or knocking on a friend's door and saying, hey, I don't feel good enough to drive myself. Would you please take me to the ER? Things like that. We try not to drag others down. Those who are compassionate don't want to drag other people down, or make them feel sorry for us. Lindsay Clancy. And y'all are giving me great ideas, but I just wondered how deep of a damn rabbit hole I'm going to go into. I'm going to write that one down too. Thank you, Heather, for a possible tip. But I'm just, going back to this, it's, I don't get it. I don't get it. Why do people go there in their minds on a panel and mention certain words that if they really didn't feel that way or didn't think that, why would they say that? Why? If it didn't happen in the past, why, why bring that up? It's like a shock value. That particular shock value should not have been, those particular words should not have been put on platform or said. But anyways, they got, she's I guess her, let's see, more than some, found not guilty by reason of insanity, probably because the postpartum depression, allegedly. I don't know a lot about that Andrea Yates. I remember hearing about it, but she's staying in the hospital. She needed help, and they're dying. Odell. I mean, there's so many in that list, in that link I dropped, that it makes you go, what the, what is going through these people's mind, that they would do this to their family. It just blows my mind. I don't get why people go there. you know, or even, not understanding around Christmas time. We talk about in fact, I've got it in my description also about the suicide hotline. Um, oh, no, I don't. Let me get that. I do have it handy, which I think is really important because there's so many that even go there. Let me bring that up. If you guys feel struggled, you know, now this is just the USA one. I don't know what the across the seas, the different things. If you're thinking of, if you think your life is that messed up, and I know holidays, loss of a loved one is not easy. It was not easy. As my mom, I really fell into a deep depression, but it didn't go so far as, for me anyways, not everybody, but me, never thought about the idea of suicide. Always thought, something told me that something better will happen. Just hang in there. Just hang in there. It'll be okay. It don't always happen that way for people. This last Christmas, I haven't told anybody. I think I told my neighbor. You know, uh, who's been a friend to me since, and a good big support since me finding out I was diagnosed. You know, um, with breast cancer, and but this last Christmas, and I picked up a gal. I'm trying to make this as short as possible so I'm not dragging because I even hate pauses myself. Picked up this gal. She was going from one house to another house. Her and her husband live apart. I thought that was kind of odd. And I says, "You're going to see your husband?" Well, my brain, I didn't say anything out loud, but my brain was going, "What'd you do? Just leave your lover's home?" And no, it wasn't that at all. She lived alone. She was a young girl. She was barely 23 years old, y'all. Barely 23 years old, and was already thinking suicide. She did not want to live. And when she mentioned that, it just almost stopped the car. Not kick her out, but to talk with her. To talk with her and say, please don't. She said she'd been thinking of this for, a couple of years. It just blew my freaking mind. Of all times, the holidays. I lost my mom on the 26th of December in 2015. So, yeah, that time period was very rough on me. And to hear this woman, and the only thing I could think of was I've got to convince her out of thinking that way. I mean, she talked about her dog, very, loving, and that she got her dog. She was showing me, kind of holding him kind of in front where I could still see him out the corner of my eye, or, turn my head a bit while I was driving her to her place. Um, talking about her dog, how much she loves her dog, how much she loves her husband. As far as I knew, no kids. You know, it's I I worried about her. There's been a few times I thought about some because I do remember what home I picked her up from, and it was her home. I almost stopped by the other day because it's not too far from where I live to see if how she is, see if she's still alive today and doing better because that really hit me. You know, that really hit me because it was that, December being hard on me, and I lost my mom. November is when I was originally diagnosed, not last November, but let's see, this last January was 3 years I've been cancer free or per se. So November was when I diagnosed. I got put off on my surgeries until after the new year. But December, always my hard month. You know, it always has been since I lost mom. She wasn't there for my cancer. Um, my first Christmas here in Salt Lake. Yeah. But this lady blew my mind. What is drawing these other people, these women doing this to their kids? Is it mental depression or is it drugs, alcohol? I mean, because I don't do none of those. I might have a beer once in a blue moon, but my my weakness is my coffee. But what makes people even say things like we've heard recently on several panels by one particular person or others with excuses of why they did things like that, you know, turn a household upside down because their fifis were hurt. Is it mental illness? I mean, we all kind of, I mean, in my opinion, I think she is. Yeah. But what caused the mental illness is because, do you mean drugs fried the brain? I mean, if they weren't that way before they started doing drugs, is it a family thing? There are so many questions wrapped around that mental health that there's no true baseline. I mean, yes, I'm using nonsense's word, baseline. There's no true baseline as to what triggers this. What triggers someone to say the things that they do in like what Laura and Robbie has said. There's no reason. I mean, with those two things, you know, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you're back. And then you go, you know, for those moms who, or anybody for that matter, it doesn't have to be a mom. And Laura, it doesn't. It happens with single mothers, single fathers, and full, normal, happy households. So stop making the single mother. Yeah, enough. Stop it. You've gotten away with everybody said, oh, it's just Laura. We know how she is. Enough of that bullshit, too. I am so sick of hearing that. Not just with as with Laura, but anybody that, Molly Golightly, she's supposed to be banned off of YouTube, period. And here she is creeping back in, and still, I don't know Molly Golightly like probably a lot of you do, but she's got some issues to go and target a mother who did makeup. I only know a little bit about that. But I know that Molly Golightly was extremely nasty towards that woman. You know, um, I don't get it. Why? I mean, what makes them think that way? And then you go to the ones that it wasn't until it was documented. Well, both of them, Heather, and he had Bull Run Betty to it. All part of the old Molly crew. I mean, come on, let's be real. What are they smoking or eating or pill whatever? What did they all take that their brains are so fucked up that they would go in any way that all three of them. And you got Gina Diamond. She is Mona. She is. Lauren Betty. Laura. Molly. I mean, from everything I've heard and watched, Hi Halloween. You got Gina Diamond, who I only knew via originally I seen her in Queen Bee's chat quite a while ago. And then she got all twisted out of shape. She's the one, Heather Dawn, that got all bent out of shape because that cartoon ranch was taken from her. All right. And she went off on Queen Bee and her kids and some other shit. And Gina Diamond got kicked off. Molly Golightly, from what I understand, she sealed her own fate as to being on YouTube. But what made them go there? What made them go? What kind of mental shit? Was it drugs that caused this mental issue? That their brains are fried? And then you got Bull Betty. We kind of joke around with too much bleach going to her brain, or a ponytail too tight, that it's holding back some, letting the brain cells work, I think we all like a little drama, Heather, and just a matter to what level. And some of us like hearing it to a certain point. Then it gets to the point where it's like, okay, like Sebastian's case. I look at the recommends in just to all, and it's nothing but like when Sebastian's name was first all over, it was nothing but this, and this, the Sato case, this, and this. How can anyone not want to run away from it after a while? Yes. But you're right, Mona, she is. And I think some people has even said that they believe that she is even worse than MGL. Even Molly was chewing her out recently. What the hell are you doing, Betty? Yes. the high school mean girl situation, except it's online. Acting like a bunch of high schoolers or the cheerleading crew, the cheerleaders that don't like the other girl, oh my God, some of us are getting too old for that shit. You know, oh, other on these, I don't need to watch TV soap operas. All we gotta do is turn on YouTube and look at it what we see on the all recommendations. Yeah, and my graduating class, see something, was 20 people. 20 people. Um, and some were, I wouldn't say rejected, but due to health, they had to step back. You know, right? Oh yeah, there was plenty of clicks in mine because even though only 20 kids, I was the outsider. All the rest of them, or the majority of them, actually, were all farmers' kids. Yeah, my graduating class was 20 kids. I lived in a small town. Nannie Doss. Two of them, one of them, unfortunately, due to health, his own health, um, and back then, if I remember right, they found out he had diabetes, juvenile diabetes, but they didn't diagnose him until he was later. Um, I think there's like 2 years that he lost. And see, my graduating class, I actually should have graduated in 1982 instead of 84, but due to my own birth defects and that, I was held back for 2 years because I also spent a lot of time in the children's hospital there in Denver. So, yeah. Some are birth defect related, some are genetics that's passed down. Alzheimer's. I didn't know that was a family genetic. Okay. Until I got looking at death certificates for my great grandmother and my grandmother and my three aunts. It was all on the maternal side. And I found out even later than that, actually, most recently, my great grandmother's mother had Alzheimer's. Dad told me stories about his grandmother, my great grandmother, how if it wasn't for a certain voice, she'd swear up and down that some bratty ding kids was getting into her yard and into the house. Oh, and she'd meet you at the door with the shotgun. Okay, and that was in Magna, Utah, which at that time was big time town for the Kennecott copper mine here in Salt Lake. But I didn't know it was a pass down, but only on the maternal side. So it's not from my side. So with that in mind, it's like, what 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 brings people to that, those who don't have genetics, passed down genes of mental health issues. Is it drugs? Is it alcohol? To what extent does it cause it? There's there's so many things, and it's so sad. You know, if you need help, if you got a substance issue or need mental health, you know, you don't have to talk, you don't have to talk to your neighbor and tell them. You don't have to go to an actual hospital unless they feel it's really important. Um, Sometimes family don't even need to know, but you can call a hotline and they can keep you anonymous. Just keep it between you and them. And if you need that crisis line to come and help you, they do it. From what I understand, they do it very discreetly. So you're not in a panic. They're not in a panic, and the neighbors aren't flapping their chops. Okay, there's a lot of privacy. Yeah, there is. Some of it is because pain. They get so much pain, chronic pain from be it injury or you know age. You know, your body just break down and says, whatever, and you have health issues. Health issues alone, it doesn't matter how much sunshine you get. Granted, it's big help. I mean, look at our rainy days. Look at those days, no matter where you live in the US, anywhere in the world, those days that it just won't stop raining for days. Okay. What do we get? We get bummed out because we want to go outside. You know, it you 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 just feel like you need to, you know, you gotta get out. Um, you need to get out and about. JLR, you know, there must have been something that while he, either before or while he was in prison, that they felt he needed to take a certain med to keep him on the straight. Because while he was on that med and until he got off probation, I think in a lot of ways for him, maybe because they didn't alter it, he never blinked or hardly ever. We hardly ever seen him blink except when he got really hyper, like at the Sebastian thing when the United Cajun Navy or United Cajun Navy, whoever it was, fired him up because he got caught on private property. Okay. Uh, Nobody really seen him blink. The meds. As soon as he was off of that, oh yeah. Um, and yes, that was 1000% a freaking grift. What he did see, because as far as I know, JR wasn't over there filming him every dang day that he went searching, and he had not searched for months. You know, so you know, JLR, once he got on probation, federal probation, I believe it was. I mean, I could be wrong. I think it was federal probation. Um, you notice he blinked more? Yeah, he blinks more. Um, he does on that too. And to me, seeing him with, yeah, seeing me with the new gal, as far as I'm concerned, Bullhorn Betty can stay fucking triggered. She keeps staying triggered, and JLR will tear her ass up because he knows a lot more. He's got a lot more years behind him when it comes to the law. Laura and Betty don't know shit. She don't even know how to read a damn document, let alone damn write one. That's obvious in the most recent filing. And why? I don't care if she's pro se or not. She fucked up the first time around. They let her get away with, oh, she's pro se. And the rotating judges, no, enough. She don't even even a paralegal knows where to go and find a legit paralegal knows where to find the needed documents or the needed forms to write it out properly. She just threw it in. She didn't listen to the judge, so she's really lost. I mean, even Molly Golightly thought, what the fuck, even Molly. What Molly thinks it was Dolly Vision. Nah, no. I've noticed since she filed and the countersuit and that, since then she's gotten further and further off the rails. Seriously. And that much time in the bedroom, if you look at before the lawsuit was filed and the countersuit, she was in her office or she was in her car traveling. Even going to the community meetings. I think she's so depressed and stressed out, and that's why you see her so much in her bedroom. I hope that puppy does good for her. Excuse the banging if you hear it. It's my next neighbor and some of their visitors outside. Our doors are like right next to each other. Anyways, yeah. And see something I've been watching. Let's see. I've had my account since 2014, but I watched TV and listened to music back then until I got a recommend for the Idaho 4 in my list. It was like, whoa, wait a minute here. In order for me to make a dang comment on a live, even though I subscribed to Emily D. Baker, I couldn't figure out why I couldn't make a post in her chat. Well, then that's when I realized that December 2022 is when I did that. But to this side over here, I come out of the law tube, that, let's see, Darrell Brooks case with Emily D. Baker, then, of course, in the Murdoch trial. And I kind of stumbled along and then found myself in y'all's sector. But I consider myself lucky and blessed to have met so many people here. And then there's some that it's like, what the? Yeah. We all have that feeling. We all have that. Ah! In fact, I got it somewhere here while at the show. This is one I have not posted on my page. Let me find it again. Put it in here. Dang it, I thought I had it here. No, it's probably over either my downloads or shoot. Dingling. I think this is something that it reminds me of my mom because she's the one that gave it to me. Because I was stressed out that day. I was 100% stressed. Let's see if I can find it. It's funny. Oh, there we go. Let me come on, open sesame. I think you'll like it. All right. This is one of my other favorites. All right, before I load it up, dang it, come on. Oh, you guys are gonna be a butt. Of course, now it's gonna hide from me. Why did it do that? Let me try it again. I was trying to show it so you could see it better, and my computer is being a dingledorf. And yes, some of the murderous women I will be covering. I've got a couple on there on my blog so far. Now, why is it doing that? There. Hopefully you can see that better. Can you all see that okay? So my mom found this online and printed it, kind of trimmed it up and brought it to me in my bedroom. This is when she was still alive. And this is long before I ever got into YouTube or anything like that. You know, so I'm a little stressed right now. Just turn around and leave quietly and no one gets hurt. And my mom taped that to my desk right in front of me, in front of my monitor. And all I could do was bust up laughing when she gave me that. Yeah, I know. BJ can kiss my butt. Well, there's one person on there. It sounds like it's a voice changer and concern, yeah. Brittany J can kiss my honey. In my opinion, she needs to fix her damn chair. See, that's the other thing. The squeaky chair that you hear is that actually Brittany J chair that's squeaking. She needs to fix it. Well, that's how my hair feels, although you know, just it's old, it's gray, it's dry because the meds that I take. You know, but there's something I felt this way. The other couple months ago when all hell was breaking loose, well, it still is. But when you see your favorite creators at each other hard, in my opinion, and you feel torn, or if you log in and all you see in front of you on recommends is a sea of like Sebastian and nothing but this, and this, and this, bad. Yeah, I was in there when Jay was covering that part. Brittany J needs to shut the hell up. Uh, in my opinion, considering her bashing the First Nations people, making fun of the prophet's last name. Um, That's when I unsubbed from her, when she made her and her panel guests laughed. So, oh, it was something we read. No, it wasn't. I was in that fucking live watching word for word what she said and what people said in the chat. She lied. Okay. I don't know a lot about Jays for Justice, but Betty definitely has her mixed up with Cher. Was it Voice Behind the Wall? I think she goes by. Yeah, she got her mixed up with Cher. She's the one that left her kids behind Betty for some other man. She abandoned her kids for a piece of ass. Cher did, not Jay. So get your facts straight before you start trashing her. And the only one that seems to have a problem with you always seem to go sexual, Betty. You and several others. Are you that desperate? Are you not getting enough, as they say, dick? Really? I mean, or whatever your choice, your whatever your sexual choice is. Are you not getting enough? I don't know. See something? I don't know if they have um, since been on Queen Bee's panel and discussing without anybody else in the way. I don't know if it's calmed down or not because I really kind of, I try to catch Granny's watching in the morning, but because I'm not really a morning person, uh, every once in a while I do catch Brittany J in the evening. Sometimes I listen, sometimes I don't. Uh, but before that, I used to, even from the bushes. But ever since that possible, truce, in a say, per se, and Julia, BJ, stop supporting someone you have no fucking clue about. Just like you don't have a clue who you got watching you. Do you go and have coffee with them literally next to them? Do you literally go to the store with them? Are you neighbors? Are you related? Literally. No, you're not. They're just a sea of faces, whether they cam up or they don't. And goes for anybody. And Robbie, in regards to cam up or not, fuck you. How do I know you're not a murderer? You can't tell a murderer or a druggie or an alkie by just their face, honey. So fuck off. You and Laura both deserve each other on some otherworldly damn panel, not here, or platform, not here, in my opinion. You know, um, I've got one video of me cammed up because I was in my car and I wanted to get that one message out to Sebastian. In my opinion, that's enough. I shouldn't have to prove myself. If they like me for me, that's good for them. It's good for me. It's good for them. Everybody's happy. If they don't, I don't give a fuck. I'm usually a pretty pleasant person until I get attacked. All right, Heather. Yeah. But and yeah, on replays, I usually catch it on replays by a clipper that did it. Yeah. I try to also thinking about new. don't know if you like her, but she was on Robbie's panel, and in my opinion, her and the gal right above her, I think Sally Ann pronounced her name Lonnie. Yeah, in my opinion, those two ladies are about the only ones that had their heads on straight. Me, in that respect. Lonnie, especially saying, yeah. Let me find my link here for her. Dang it. Sally Ann has mostly a craft channel. Now, since I brought her up, I definitely want to share her link. Oh. No. Alright. Let me find PG. My head wasn't connected, I'd lose it. Anyways, the crafts, if you like doing crafts, here is Sally Ann's. I mean, I thought she was about the most level-headed on Save Robbie's panel, in that whole thing. I mean, that's my opinion only. And Robbie kept talking over her. Now, Sally Ann's, or Lonnie's, I would like to find hers because I stand by what she said too. As a child that they, Oh, now Kendall Ray, yeah, she's from Colorado. I like her. And they've got one other podcast that she does with some other. I don't know much about Annie Elise. I watched a few of hers a while back, but this lady here, for me, if you watched or even the preview, or even if it was a clipped, the gal in the middle, the older lady in the middle that had all those crafts in behind her, I checked out several of her videos separate from that particular nightmare. If my mom was still alive and I took a video of her, that's the way my mom's craft room looked. Except my mom was into making like the mini quilts. Well, I hear the knitters sector is see something. I don't know. I haven't been over to that neck of the woods. Uh, um, I've been more of a law tube, into law documents, court trials, the 13th juror, Brandy. If you like commentary, now Brandy from the 13th jury, she's not any law, like lawyer or retired lawyer, thing like that. But she is really knowledgeable. See something? Best way to describe it is had a bunch of old farts around doing be knitting or making quilts, and it's like a little sisterhood, and anybody that don't fit in that sisterhood of quilting, they'll sit there and gossip among each other. Or you get another old example, since Nannie Doss was kind of back in those times, and you see a bunch of old ladies sitting on the porch in the rocking chairs. And see, and I like watch. I like court TV also. Investigative Discovery. I watch a lot of those. Disappeared. Um, Have You Seen Me? I think is one of them. Yeah. And yes, I even watched Dr. G, the medical examiner. Thank goodness they blurred out the body, but her explanation of things helped me understand. And she's the one that covered the autopsy of little Kaylee. Yeah. In a way, yeah. And a lot of the old men and the men had called them a bunch of old biddies. You old biddy, mind your own business, things like that. So they this is this image here is how I felt when I see some things like that. I had to step away. Now, was it just because of that? I don't know. Now, see, I love cross stitching too, but my hands I can't handle anymore. Counting cross stitch. Oh, I love doing that. Even had my own frame. I, Holding the needle. It's not just in my wrist, like carpal tunnel. It was in my neck and on down. So, uh, crocheting couldn't really do. My mom was the craftiest of crafting. Kind of cross stitch. My favorite being 14 count, the 18 count, or 22 count hard hanger. Now, that was a little tougher to do kind of cross stitch. Just regular embroidery, the long embroidery for me, like the old stuff and like old, or for like tapestries, too much. You know, uh, I'm never good at those. Yeah. Well, hopefully, all of that will get back to normal in a sense as to missing or the murder, unalived kids like it was beforehand. I totally get you. I mean, this case, out of all the cases I've come across, and I've been going back over some of the cases that a lot of these YouTubers was a part of, some in a good way, and then of course our usual suspects in a bad way. Um, you know, and none of them are like this one. It's like, what the heck, Um, Let me close out some of these. I had one more. You might have seen it on my back page, on my community post. Oh, how to do this after. All right, where'd it go? There it is. Oh, come on. Let me bring it up. I think you guys will like this one too. It's, and of course it won't let me show that one instead. All right, let me show you this other one. I know it's on my community post, but some reason or another it won't let me bring it up normal. So here we go. Oh, this is my other favorite. That's why you might say it's kind of like instead of Lysol spray, how about sage? Yeah. Well, the other one too, see something is the Michael Long case. He knew exactly where his daughter was, but he tried to say he had no clue. He was 100% involved in the disappearance of his daughter. He made and then turned around and how long after grifting for shit, having his own YouTube channel? Oh, that was horrible. I read a lot of it. I didn't go in detail, but yeah, yeah. I couldn't resist this one. I found this, I believe it was on Facebook years ago. Uh, but it's one of my favorites. The Michael Long case is one that is was a tough one. They said that was really tough. He knew exactly where his daughter was. He knew. He shipped her off to family across seas. And when he got so much money, all of a sudden he dipped and went to across seas, and that's when they busted him and saved the little girl. Now, from what I understand, she was saved. And I hope it's the same case situation. I hope that Sebastian is also missing inmate. One said mother was. Oh, jeez. My goodness. That the mom essayed her? Wow. That's just wow. Wow. But, anyways, I think I'm going to end with this for now. Um, and if you haven't clicked the link, thumbs up, whatever, please do share it out. Even if you have to watch it later or on replay, watch it. I'm hoping that in my opinion, calling CPS for the wrong reasons because you got your fifis hurt and then hold back and claim you're at peace with it after you did it. It was pre-planned. When you go and buy a burner phone, you put someone else's name to blame on them, so it gets blamed on them. Yes. Oh, oh, that's sad. See something that is sad. I'm hoping someday to be able to incorporate sidebar here to incorporate this into a background picture, but until I get enough to upgrade my page, right now it's only a frontal picture. In hoping to make this help and make that into like ending. That I wouldn't doubt, Teresa. There's a lot to learn. I had my intros and outros. I really don't have really anything except for that silly countdown part. I might talk to one young lady that I've been talking with recently and see if she'll make me one. She said she's a lot of people ask her. Thank you. This profile picture with the puppy on my shoulder. Originally, I wanted one that was like all black, like a min pin, but the AI would only produce this. Angel of Goodness that hangs out in Savages and Jenny Jen Jens. She's the one that made that for me. She's the one that made that for me. And I always wanted long hair, so oh no. I'm not that gorgeous. I wish I was. The closest you get, let me find it here. And it's an old, well, it's not really that old. It was just after I had surgery, after my breast cancer surgery. So let me close out some of these. Where to go? Darn it. I thought I had it right here. Let me do it this way. Of course, it's not going to let me open the browser, so we'll do it this way. And you may have seen it before. I don't know. I used to have it as my avatar to begin with. This was the day I got out of the hospital. I was at Dad's, and I found that, and I thought it was cute. Had about as close to, and I now have that chair. Yeah, I believe it is one of the two. Anyway, it's easy chairs that was at my dad's after my mastectomy surgery. But thank you. I was tired. You know, oh, that's good. Mine, see, something I wish I could, but because the meds that I take due to my breast cancer and birth defect, it's my hair is so dry, and plus it kind of a generational thing on the hair part. My mom's hair was thin, especially on top. But it's different. But I wish I was that gorgeous. Let me see if I can find the picture I was thinking of. Yeah, yeah, it is. What I really wanted when I asked Angel Dark, when I asked around about a avatar with the chair or a chair avatar, as one like what Flava has. Jen's been on a more realistic, aspect. Savages, that kind of avatar. I got a few, but they weren't. It was still awesome. Don't get me wrong. Angel Goodness did an awesome freaking job, in my opinion. for me not knowing the right questions to, or suggestions for, because I know she make I knew she made an AI, but I didn't know in what way, you know, uh, how do you make an AI, chirp picture? uh, yeah, well, right, but I mean, the like hair color. Did I want it long? Did I want it wavy? Did to the side? Did I want it pet? No pet? That kind of thing. It's like, I was clueless. I was. Um, I was. It was one of those kind of questions where I was stumped. Like, what do you mean? Because I'd never played with AI. I know it's part of Canva, but and you can do, I think, a couple of them. But after that, yeah, me neither. There's a lot of people that have Canva or an AI generator. Um, that they can tinker with that stuff. I think CapCut has it also, but they have a AI generation thing in there. I think I don't play with it because I'm still learning how to use CapCut. Be all honest, that's how newbie I am. Now, if I could dig into my older laptop that has my paint shop program, uh, I used to do, let's see what is going on, 4 years that I've been out of Facebook for 90 for like 98% of the time. I used to be like die hard in the graphics uh side of things, not the crafty, but the graphics. Hey sexy, hello, thank you for coming. I didn't know, I didn't know those other channels, or groups for that matter, because that wasn't my interest at that time. In some ways, I have to say that I'm glad I wasn't, because the graphic side and copyrighted graphics, oh my God, girl. We thought it was cutthroat there. Oh, hey, Thor. You know, we thought it was bad there. Oh, honey, it's bad here. And who's Carol? Do we know a Carol? I'm confused. Right. Well, let's see. I've been on here 2.5 hours. But if y'all please, if you just getting in here, oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. Um, if you haven't, if you didn't come in the beginning, please don't hesitate to, take a re-listen. Yes, I threw in a few uh, gurs in there because it was moms and kids, you know. But yeah, Facebook. I didn't know you could monetize Facebook. I didn't even know you could monetize YouTube until I got into the true crime slash drama slash, some of those that are creating trauma and, the dumpster fires. I didn't know nothing about that. I was shocked I could even, as soon as I found out I could type, I didn't know people actually did lives or was ever live. I thought it was like, I did live and they recorded it and then put it up as a video kind of situation. I didn't know. That's how newbie I am to this side of the world. In the graphics world, in digital scrapbooking side, oh, you talk about a bunch of cutthroat women. They say the knitting community is cutthroat. Shit. Some of the groups I've been, seen and left would blow your. Yeah, they're just as vile and worse and doxing. Yeah. Oh, sarcasm. Oh, hey, Rowdy. How are you, hun? That's going to be a new name. It's going to take me a while to get used to, bud. You know that, don't you? Good to see you. But please share this out. Um, Maybe somebody will like the information around Nannie Doss. My plan is, and mind you, yeah, I'm a little slow at getting. Being a Virgo, I'm one of those OCD perfectionists that's got to be written down. Then I get it onto a notepad or on computer, and then I might get it spit out onto there. It's like I got to do that double, triple check thing. I do it with my door, and it's just me in my house. I only have one door and only have one window in my little tiny apartment. So yeah, they even get triple checked. It's an OCD thing with me. Um, so please share it out. I hope somebody likes, information on like Nannie Doss. I'm gonna be doing some on Elizabeth Borden. Um, she went from Lizzie Borden, and after the death of her dad and stepmom, and she had gotten Maplecroft, the home that she lived in afterwards. She changed her name to Lizbeth. Now, let me find that. I'll say the thumbnail they'd probably be watching for when I do finally get started on it. Now, the Black Dahlia, I'm going to admit, it's going to be a while before I get the Black Dahlia Elizabeth short story up, but it will be there. Um, Let me open it up in a browser. Maybe. Why is it? Oh, because I made it a thumbnail. That's why. Duh. All right. Let me bring this up. This will be my thumbnail. Let me hide myself here. There. Oh, thank you. I mean, I try. That's all I can do. Yeah. Um, Originally, this particular template that I use for my thumbnails was supposed to be for like video log, daily video log, blogs, vlogs or whatever you call it, and travel. And I thought, what better one, with that torn paper look for these cases. And Lizzie Borden really, in my opinion, was a very beautiful lady. Same with uh what's her name now? Yeah. When was that quit? All right. There was one other one. Oh, Black Dahlia. She was a gorgeous lady. I don't know why it won't let me share that over the other. Oh, maybe. Oh no. Never mind. I did. All right. This is the other lady I'm planning on covering, but it's going to be a while because hers is a very deep, deep. This one is a very old case. Very old case that I zoomed out, you silly thing. Why isn't it zooming out? Anyways, this lady, she reminds me in some ways of Elizabeth Taylor. Is a young Elizabeth Taylor. Oh, I did too. See something, and I look back on it. I don't think she did it. I don't. I looked at all the testimony, and we'll go into those. I'm trying to break it down into different days for different documents. I got documents on on the whole trial of that. And I'm sorry, but Bridget, the maid, was in the house. Lizzie was out in the barn, and that's according to everything I've come across. Every site, you name it, that I've come across. Is the only is she loved fishing. They called it angling back then. She used to love going fishing, and she needed sinkers to go and probably do instead of like with a fishing pole, she probably put out certain lines for like when we used to go crab hunting. You put in a bucket and you had or on a string back then, and she needed sinkers. She said she needed lead and it was for her sinkers, so she could sink the bait down. She was out in the barn. The court trial says her own words there. She was out in the barn. Bridget was the one in the house upstairs. Now, I've gone fishing, so I know what it's like to use the old-fashioned sinkers, not the ones they have now, where you can slide them on, or mine back when I was a kid, it had the pincher style. Okay, back then, probably when they had it, they had like maybe she had to probably mold it into or put in like maybe a nylon, back then to hold it, and then tied the string around it to hold the bait down. Put it in a sock, a nylon socks back then. They probably didn't have holes like they do now, or be able to pinch them, to add more weight or take off weight. She was in the barn, okay? Both those acts, every possible hatchet axe, whatever, according to autopsies and everything, none in the police, none had any human blood on it. Even back then, they knew the difference between chicken blood and human blood. So that, to me, right there, 100%. And she was being judged by all the men. Women weren't allowed to be on juries back then, so she didn't have a jury of her peers. But all those men, originally, they wanted to hang her out to dry. some of the women back then treated her like shit, you know. And why she bought Maple Crock with 7 damn bedrooms? Holy shit, that's a huge house. And I will show that too. Um, as to, as to Lizzie Borden, the Black Dahlia. I've got federal documents on her. Surprisingly enough, downloaded them straight from the FBI website. Shocked the shit out of me that they had it available. But yeah, Elizabeth Short, she may have been, is what some would call a couch traveler. In other words, go hang out on somebody, and sleep overnight on their friend's couch, and didn't matter where she lived. They never really, yes. Elizabeth Short, 1947, they found her murdered in California, in Los Angeles, dismembered. Now, the Cecil Hotel, they believe that she haunts there because that used to be a hangout that she used to go to. The Biltmore in California was another one. But yeah, she was unfortunately found. Yeah, couch surfer. There we go. She was. She would be back then considered a couch surfer. What we call a couch surfer today, that would have been along the same. Yeah. But Eileen Wuornos, yeah, we know about her too. Letitia Staunch, sorry, I'm not going to dip into that one. If you want Letitia Staunch, all the Letitia Staunch stuff, in my opinion, the best person to go to. Uh-oh. Well, welcome back. Heather, is Melissa Jade. Let me find hers. I'm sure there's others, but I found her, and she does if you want extensive info on Letitia Staunch, this is the lady who does, this gal here is, in my opinion, the go-to on Letitia Staunch. Jail calls, you name it. She's, in my opinion, the lady to look at for any Letitia Staunch, because she goes from before or during the beginning of the trial all the way up to now, because there's still like phone calls that she is covering. And I come across her. How did I come across her? Oh, I was due to a court thing. Yeah. Was on the court deal of Truth and Transparency, trying to throw her under the bus on a bunch of bullshit. Thank God the judge seen that woman for being the psycho she is. I spent maybe 3 days in there, and I ran because she was showing somebody that was in the chat. So everybody in the world that was in the chat that I had been chatting with, all her address phone number, everything in front for the whole world to see. Melissa Jade, she goes back to even before Lana Oriani. I found her via that. Yeah, Melissa Jade. She's pretty cool. If you're familiar with Deets on the Streets, she hangs out there a lot of times. She does come to Queen Bee's sometimes. She comes to Jones's chat if you're familiar with them also, and I have seen her over there in Forgotten Whispers chat. Oh, Beulah. Okay. Beulah. What? Sorry for all the Beulahs out there, but why does that automatically trigger the thought of crazy name? Crazy name? I mean, I don't know why. It's shame on me for thinking that, but it also makes me think of Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. I'm not very good at mimicking, other than here's my best one for Laura, and it's her own words. Sit the fuck down. I'll wait. If I don't do it, I don't do it nearly as good as what JP does. She does really good parodies of Laura. But, ladies, all right, I've got that written down, see something. But, yeah, she usually goes, you'll see her in Dietz's. I think seen her in Jones's. Seen her a few times over there in Queen Bee's. Well, I don't believe it was her. I think it was the maid, Bridget. There was a big upheaval. If you read the documents on Lizzie Borden, the court, the questioning and everything else, back then there was also a big upheaval of a lot of Irish trying to take over properties, and her dad wasn't exactly the nicest man either. I can only imagine what he did to bully his way into properties also. From what I've read on Lizzie's, yes, Teresa, she has. Um, oh, okay. But now I lost my dang scroll. I need to get one of those. Let's see, do I got a squirrel around here? Let me see if I can find a squirrel. Let's see, yes. There's one that I like. I like Grandma Sherry's, you know. Like, no, I don't want cartoon dealings. I want one like Grandma Sherry's. Funny as fuck. Anyways, but yeah, I need one of those squirrels. No, like squirrel. But I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate those who stopped by just to take a peek, that could spend time. Um, I know it's early in the afternoon, and probably a bunch of our favorites are going to be firing off soon. So that's why I kind of try to squeeze in between everybody until I get better at this. I'm so new at doing these lives. There's so much to learn. You know, timing. Getting it organized as to what I want to watch or what I want. And make it more interesting, I guess, or more like present day, even though it's that old, you know, pastime, like the Nannie Doss, 1950s is when she passed away. About taking back to that time period. Uh, Murdoch, you know, taking you back in the time of how the family, law firm started, for instance, before the law firm started, you know, there's a lot of history just in that alone, you know, and you don't necessarily have to follow the dang trial, but my thought on that, if you look at my blog, um, let me repost it again for those who might be interested. And bring it. Um, and this is my blog. And the thing is, let's see. Darn it, I blew it up too much when I was, the Forgotten in America, the series is what I was saying. It's covering all those, like from 1980 to 1984, the women who unfortunately either was never ever a streetwalker would come up missing, or those who were late that were ladies of the night, uh, to cover them, you know, and how they were found, and just Mary Catherine Williams, and she was a beautiful lady, from out of Mecklenburg, North Carolina. There's so many in the murder series. We got the bad guys, we got the good guys. Killer kids. Oh my goodness! Now that's another story. I come across a recent one where two kids today killed their mother, and it was in Tennessee, and it wasn't too long ago. Um, I need to add her. Yeah, that one. So maybe I exit stage left on. I forget. But I thought I had it written down somewhere. I was working on Sedin Lynch. Then you got the one on serial killer. They're adding more and more people to that list. I think he changed. In my opinion, I think he and his brother, who looks a lot like him, changed. You know, changed that dynamic. I mean, uh, but yes, uh, there is so many that that's even involved with the Long Island. You got the cop that hid things. You got the one of the street hoes that that spent time with the cop. You know, and also what was in cohorts with Rex Sherman had been seen at Rex Sherman's as a go-between. Someone that would bring him. I guess I don't know if 100%. Um, uh, there's two cases, child cases that's based out of Missouri that I have been looking at. One of them to help a friend. And we're gonna work on. I'm working on trying to get it so it runs smooth, and her and I are going to go live to get. She's gonna come up and share a panel with me when I do get it. I want to just write because I don't want it to. There's a lot of things to this, a lot of things that we cover on a regular basis, but in the same sense, I don't want the people going after anybody else on the streets. I mean, the child, unfortunately, was found unalived, but her life, the mom is still alive. And I don't want anybody going in. I learned so much since being here in the year and a half. I don't want, despite what her and her boyfriend did, you know, she didn't literally do it, but well, if everything works out and when I do get my, get it written down, get it the way I want to present it. Me and Unitonka, Uni, because she's the one that brought it to me, the case. And then I found another one that was similar, and CPS was involved. Unfortunately, there was past drugs involved. But she knows more about it, but I want to present it in the best way possible. Nobody's done a live about it. Some people have done videos about that she knows as part of that, but nobody's done a live covering. And you may already know it's the Erica Green case. But I see something I'll see on the street soon. But yeah. Oh, Unitalk is you talk about OGs? Now she's part of the OGs. You got Savage, you got uh Earth or Earth, depending on, how long you've known her. You got, yeah, Queen Bee. She's been around for a while, but I would say probably Savage and Unitonka definitely one of the top OGs. Definitely, because if I remember right, Savage said she'd been at least running like 8 years at least on YouTube. So yeah, she's definitely OG. Oh yeah, she's definitely OG. But in my opinion, Unitonka is one of those OGs. She's been around that long. I'm still learning a lot about a lot of these people. The creators, the people that they had covered in the past. I found a couple old vaults and now about fell over backwards, going, huh? What? Who is this? So I seen their face like, oh, yeah. I figured it did. I do. Only thing I know prior to me finding the hive is only because she brought up Critical K and that she used to be a mod for it. That's really all I know about that. Back and I found, Critical K. I found. Uh, I kind of went searching, wondering who's this Critical K? How come she's not around? You know, but yeah, I was curious. I ain't gonna deny it. Oh, Shannon. I think she goes by the Shannon. Used to be part of the Flick It Up Friday with Savage, uh, in Val and Pirate. Uh, she's also another one that does a lot of older true crime on Saturday evenings. Now, it might take her a bit for her to get back into the rhythm because she did have a little scare not too long ago. Um, that's I believe she still has that live up on her own channel to explain, what happened. But yeah, I we got a lot to learn. I know I do. Time. But anyways, my dears, it's goodness, and it's been 3 hours, a little over 3 hours. I'm gonna grab something to eat, and I'll see you all back on the streets. Thank you all for coming. Please don't forget to like on your way out or dislike whatever tripped your trigger. I don't care. I do care. I care about y'all. We all just have a different way of caring. Um, I care about how, you know, I care about people. I really do. Sometimes it's hard for me to keep my foot, when you see me throwing caps around and gurring, it's because usually the one in the video is the one being the dum dum. I gotta learn how to, as spellers say, sometimes that backspace was. Anyways, yes, that too. Or I really wish they would do that with the Black Dahlias. You know, but probably most evidence back then is probably gone. Yeah, it's a matter of trying to put two and two together on those. But anyways, y'all be good. See you on the streets. Don't get burnt by the fires. Don't fall in those rabbit holes like I have recently because they are deep. If you do, be prepared for before you jump in. Chat soon.